I don't
someone
know.
die right now with that kind of
I don't know if
expression.
UXer is a word in English.
Yes, it's a good question if the people will understand us.
Yeah. If you are UX designer, is there the word UXer for this? I don't know.
Yeah,
Please tell me.
good question, good question. Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if it's a kind of thing like we Brazilians usually do, like creating.
New words.
Yeah,
Yeah, we love
yeah,
to create new words. I'm sorry. If you are a native speaker, I'm
yeah.
so sorry for
Oh,
that.
please comment if you are a native audience. Yeah.
Yes, yes, because now we have this is not more a secret thing. We have a spin-off of Design Team, right?
Yeah,
So we
yeah,
have two channels right now. Not
yeah.
only two, but
We have
now
it.
two.
Yeah, one of them is in English, and this,
Yeah,
in this case,
only
is
for
in
Good
the
Morning
other in
UX.
Portuguese. Yeah,
Yeah, only for Good Morning UX, and another one with Portuguese content and Good Morning UX also, but we
in
have
Portuguese. Yeah.
both. Yeah. So today we will speak with a great author that
Yeah.
I'm loving to know more
Yeah.
in the
The
book. It is
first
amazing.
is the first guest who are not designer.
No, 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 no.
This season
This
is the
season,
yeah.
I think so. Yeah,
I
you're
think it's the
right.
first
In this
guest in this
season, it
season.
is
Yeah.
the first person that is not a designer, and Karen Wickre, right?
Yeah. Karen Wickre.
Wickre. In his book, it's amazing. Yeah, yeah. I think you have to read right now.
Yeah.
For me, it is
It's
a great class. Huh?
yeah. As you will say during the show, because you are you already not says that,
Yeah.
but the book was published 5 years ago.
In
Not
English in 2018, but
yeah
in
yeah.
Portuguese
It's
just last year.
okay.
So it's a new
It's more
book in
recently.
Portuguese.
Yeah
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And the name in English, it's different. It is taking the
Mm,
work out of network.
great. But
So it's
this book is
different.
about networking, about
Exactly.
create
Yes.
and to have a good networking.
Yeah, and especially it's something how someone that doesn't like to do network, how to do
Okay.
network. This is
To look, yeah,
this is in Portuguese.
to
The name. Yeah.
yeah to have a different point of view, different look for this. So it's not a pain thing to do. It's a good thing to do, and
Yeah,
you
it's not
can do that.
something a hard task,
Yeah,
right? It's something. No, come down, come down.
yeah. It would be not suffer. It can be a good thing.
Yeah, yeah, totally. So, okay, please, let's
Yeah,
go.
yeah. Let's talk with
So,
Karen.
Karen, come on. Have you here with us is in your videocast is a great pleasure. Thank you so much, Karen, to be here with us. And I will repeat this all the time. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I'm sorry for that. Okay.
Don't be sorry. It's so appreciated. Thank
Uh,
you very.
Thank you. And to start, just to start, maybe someone here in Brazil doesn't know you. So I would like to ask you if you could introduce yourself to our Brazilian audience and quickly tell us a little about yourself and your experience and so on. So can you?
Yes, I'm happy to. I'm Karen Wickre, as he said, and I live in San Francisco. I have done for 40 years, and I have been involved working in tech companies, tech businesses for all that time. As a writer and editor, something I fell into, did not have a grand plan to work in tech. When I was growing up, there wasn't a category called tech to work in. Um, but I made my way here, as I say, 40 years ago for a different job, and then got hired into uh, the first stop was a tech publishing company. A lot of computer magazines were published here in the early days of personal computers becoming a thing that people bought and used. And so that was my introduction. And I found that even though I had no particular technical aptitude, I did know how to write and edit, as I say, and having this new kind of tool just opened a lot of doors for me, and I just kept going. And it turned out that San Francisco, and as you may know, Silicon Valley around San Francisco, became really a hotbed, a sort of ground zero for a lot of technology development over time. And much to my surprise, once I was sort of in the door with the magazine side of things, I discovered how much I enjoyed the people working in it. I enjoyed the fast pace, the fact that things changed all the time, new things emerged. Certainly, new technologies have emerged over the years. That it really suited me, and I liked the environment. And so that has led me to many jobs at startups and being an independent contractor. And then about 20 years ago, I guess, a little more, I begged my way in to be a contractor at a young company called Google. Um, and I was a contractor there for about a year, and then got hired onto the staff. And it was the early days of Google. It was about 2003 when I joined, and I loved the mission of Google. And there were a lot of there were enough people who were not engineers, people like me, who were there to interpret and explain the technical stuff, and make it more comprehensible to regular people. And that's kind of the lane I've stayed in ever since. So I did have a long stint at Google, an amazing ride as it grew up. When I joined as a contractor, there were about 500 people working at Google. When I left 9 years later, there were 50,000 people working at Google. Now I think there's something like 175,000 people working at Google. Way too big for me now, but it was a fantastic education. And I went from there to a young company called Twitter, and was there for about 5 years of also it growing up and going public. A very different experience than Google. I had a similar role where I was uh, managing sort of the public news and information going out from the company, corporate communications. I was managing parts of that. Um, but a very different experience. And obviously, poor Twitter has suffered a lot since those days. And I miss what I did love about the product. And now I can't use it, sadly, but some of you may relate to that. But I've stayed. I've loved the interaction of the people I've been around, and the fact that um, there's so much fluidity in a sort of tech focused job market means not only have I changed jobs a lot, but everybody I know has changed jobs a lot. So the turns out that one of the tricks to networking, which I'm sure we'll talk about, is keeping in touch with people over time, because that is how you have a wonderful, strong network. And I feel that way today. I've been working for myself for about 8 years. People often are asking me to make introductions or to find out something about somebody or a company, or something that involves reaching out to someone in the network. And it's a easy, painless thing to do, because I've been in touch with people all along. We all are intermittently, and because people like to be able to help when they can. It makes people feel good. I do know somebody, I could make that introduction, or I could tell you more about this. So it sort of seemed like along my work experience, it came up this parallel effort of uh, having and building a network, and having it not be an overwhelming project, just having it be part of my day to day life. And that's essentially what I detail in the book.
Wow. What a great experience in small companies like Google, Twitter. Yeah. Well, as I said, this conversation will be amazing. And as I said, I'm reading your book here. It's here
Yes,
with
thank
me
you.
in Portuguese. Yes, a beautiful book, amazing. Thank you so much for that. And for me, it was a great revelation. It showed me a different approach to introverts and extroverts,
Yeah.
and the difference between being shy and introverted.
That's right.
So this is my case. So can you explain more about this kind of difference between being shy and
Yeah.
introvert?
Yeah, it was in the writing the book that I looked into it a little more because growing up, I considered myself shy, and my friends would say, "No, no, you're not shy." I was kind of quiet, and then when I got into this question about being an introvert or not, and how that affected things, well, it turns out introversion is not the same as shyness at all. Introvert really means uh, where do you either recharge your energy or where do you get your energy from? If the answer is I need time alone, I need time to process, I need time to think about what happened and get strength, to go out again into the world. That's essentially an introvert. It doesn't mean that you shrink away from the world, just that you have to retreat to kind of rebuild and then go again. And extroverts tend to get more energy off of a group or people. And so at the end of a night, let's say after a dinner in a restaurant with your friends, an introvert might say, "At last, as much as I enjoyed it, at last I can go home." Right? And an extrovert might say, "Let's go for a round of drinks after." Right? Let's keep going. Let's keep going, because they get their energy that way. But it turns out, in writing the book, that a lot of people would say to me, "I'm an extrovert and I hate networking." Right? It turned out not to be so much because we all think of networking as being we have to face a crowd of people all at once, but in fact, networking is kind of very well suited to introverts because networking is always a one-to-one encounter. You're not talking to a group in the same way. When you're connecting with someone, it's one to one. And so introverts can do that. Just maybe not nonstop, but they can do it on their schedule. So I wrote it with that in mind, and that's the way I operate. I'm happy to socialize and be out in the world, but then I need to come home and process it and have quiet time too. So that's the main difference. And I do think, by the way, that introverts can be better listeners, which is a great skill to have, I think, in a lot of most jobs.
Yeah, I agree with you. But first, Burichi, do you consider yourself extrovert or introvert?
I am an extrovert.
Ah,
Definitely. Yeah,
you
definitely.
have a round of drinks.
But I think we have a lot of misconceptions about this, as you said, because it's not about to be lovable or to be
Oh,
more easy connected with people, because as you said, an introvert person can create these connections one-on-one, one-to-one.
yep.
It's and this extrovert usually has a lot of capability to act good in public with a lot of people, but
Yeah.
I don't know if in one-on-one. For me, one-on-one is more difficult because my energy make
Uh-huh.
me. Oh my God! I want to talk with more people, not just
Right.
one people. It's a little difficult for me,
Right.
but I would like to ask you because other thing, because do you think our industry or the professional world has some prejudice about introvert people?
I
Because I think it can create more difficult for introvert people to create connections.
I do, and I think it even carries over from school. At school, the kid that never raises their hand, never speaks up, gets overlooked. That's maybe where some of this begins, even. But yes, in meetings, you can easily imagine. And I was one who would often sit and think about the answers and think, and then, three other people would say something similar, and I'd say, I'm not, forget it. I'm not going to say anything more. It just adds to it. Um, but I do think it takes uh, good managers have to understand they have to learn ways to draw out everybody in their own way, not just put them in the spotlight in the meeting, but to, uh, the ones beware of the one who talks all the time and has all the ideas, right? Because that's probably not the whole picture either. But yeah, I do think it's something managers have to understand and be aware of for sure, because we all know people that take the spotlight a little bit too much, and then others who say, no, I don't have anything to add, I don't have anything to say, but they may be also valuable in lots of ways that are not so apparent.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. The world is not so fair with introverted people, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because all the time, the industry, the world, come on, show
Yeah.
yourself,
yeah,
show,
U-
right?
yeah,
Yeah,
Usually, who claims the attention has the attention,
yeah,
and because that usually this kind of person can be the most famous. But I think it is the question here, Karen, because networking is not about to be famous, to be lovable,
oh, exactly.
to talk a lot all the time. It's not about that. It's about to have a rich moment
Yep,
with the right person.
yep. Excuse me, exactly, exactly.
God bless you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, I mean, that's the this is what remember what I said about introverts maybe being better listeners. I don't know that it's universal, but because I mean, I'm happy to sit and people watch, or when I travel, just sit on a bench or sit at a cafe and watch people go by. And I feel like I'm pretty observant, and I think that's a good quality for kind of, maybe it goes hand in hand with empathy, right? Where you just kind of have a sense of, other people's, their style and how they present themselves and their look and so on. It's I think it's an asset to be attentive and to be able to listen, that can help, uh, so that when you are meeting someone new, um, you draw them out to, and then with luck, you're really paying attention. You remember what they say, who's their favorite team, what kind of pet do they have, what neighborhood do they live in, what do they like about their work. And those are the little things that can lead to the ongoing connection, because uh, you're not always, none of us want to be in touch with somebody all the time, just asking a favor or being asked a favor, right? That's too transactional. So in between, occasionally the favors come in, but in between that, you might say, hey, your team did really well last night. I'm happy for you. That's all you say. You text them or you email them or whatever, and you just say, hope you're doing well. That's a little point of contact that lets them know they know that about me. They're thinking of, that's a nice thing to do. They're thinking about me. You may not be in touch maybe for a year, but you'll pop up and say, this was an interesting story. Thought of you when your team won or when your team lost, same same thing. Uh those are the little touch points about keeping in touch with people that make connections so good and valuable, and they come from that idea of being attentive.
Yeah, it's a kind of being more intentional within our actions,
Yep,
like not just criticize or asking something, but
right,
to compliment, to
yeah,
give a tips, or to be more intentional in create this kind of relationship. It's
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
not all the time, but in the most important
Occasionally,
moments.
I'd say intermittently,
Ah,
just occasionally, you just
okay.
do that, and that's enough. The pandemic, I think, maybe taught a lot of us something about this. I I was in touch, especially during the lockdown period where
Mhm.
nobody could go anywhere. I was in touch with people then I maybe hadn't talked to in 10 years or more. And it was mostly a bit of a conversation starter to say, I've just been thinking about you. How are you doing? Where are you staying right now? How is this all going for you? And people, everybody who still had the work that they were doing, their day-to-day work, but I found I had more conversations via video, right, with people who also wanted a chance to sort of have a little bit different, not a work call, right? Have a little bit different conversation to say, we're having a tough time, we're doing okay. The kids are, fine, the kids are restless, whatever it was. And I was so struck by that it was not about favors, right? That nobody was asking for anything. Nobody was changing jobs for a while there. It was just, you're just connecting.
Yeah, you bring up a good point that I like to explore more. Your book was published in 2018, right?
Yes.
18, right?
Yeah.
So it was a pre-pandemic moment,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Remote work, a growing market, and now you're facing layoffs, artificial intelligence, changing name for Twitter, for example,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And what is your view of how we should network now compared to how it was in 2018?
Ah, it's a very good question. I mean, the big benefit that came out of that, and obviously there were a lot of downsides and terribleness, but we all got used to video calls. And we saw that it could be a pretty good substitute, if need be, for being in touch with people who were far away, or were close by, but in any case, we couldn't see them, right? And so that, and even, I mean, at the time, I remember talking to people who I would encourage. They'd be on their Zoom calls all day for work, right? One meeting after another, kind of, which is too much, by the way. You can't do it nonstop. But I would encourage them, and they'd have teammates they never had met. And I said, you've got to make time for a separate one-on-one conversation that's more personal, to get to know them, to have just to have the cats run in the background, have the baby cry, so that you have a little bit more personal connection between you when you can't get together. So the fact that we're more used to that now, it makes it easier to have just a phone catch up that is with video, right? With somebody who's far away, you don't know. I have a friend in the UK who I met on Twitter years ago, probably 10 years ago. We connected on Twitter. We sort of stayed in touch. I visited him in London several times. We've stayed in touch. And recently he had posted that he'd had an incident of cancer. And I wrote to him and said, "Let's get on a video call. I want to see you and, hear from you and talk about this." It was no I mean, it was almost as good as having coffee together. Uh, but just to have that kind of personal connection, I think, is very important. I mean, so that's probably the one big thing that changed. And maybe connected to that is people who work together. The idea in the US, this used to happen all the time. You'd fly across the country for a 1 or 2 hour meeting and then go back. Like, we don't need to do that now. You can save money, and it's still important, absolutely, to have in-person contact, but it does not have to be, at the drop of a hat. It doesn't have to be for everything you do, but especially again for friends who are you're not connected closely and you want to stay in touch. It's a real benefit. So I think that's the big change, I think.
Yeah, I agree. We learn fast how to use technology
Yeah.
to connect more, right, with people. So we broke the walls, and now we can, like you said, exactly like you said. Oh, let me call Rafael in Portugal right
Mhm.
now to combine something, right? So
Yeah.
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 But at the same time,
Mm.
or in the other hand, do you think this example? Yeah, I agree with you because, of course, to use the technology is easier than years ago.
Hmm.
But in the other hand, I think we are losing the capacity to understand the real personal connection because that we are looking for just superficial connections in social media,
Ah,
and we are facing that like a real network. But no, it's just
right. Yeah.
a superficial connection.
Yeah.
And do you think this can be a problem in the new world of networking? Not just for jobs, of course, but for networking with people, because as you said, we are having a relationship with people in the other side of the globe,
Yeah. Yeah.
and how we can face that, not like a real connection being a superficial, but being a real connection.
Well, you raise a good point about social media, and I'll come back to that. I would say that nothing substitutes for in person, right? And so when possible, having met you, if I were going to Porto, I would not just I would want to look you up in person and go have a coffee with you, right? And so uh and similarly you in Sao Paulo, Rodrigo. So um that is the by far the best way. But I feel like you can have, especially when it's a one to one or a small group. I mean, there are lots of video chat groups now that are, they're reading books together or they're a support group for something, where they are making kind of deep connections. That's all to the good. It's a little different, and I know what you're describing about social media, where it's of a quick like, you scroll on another quick like.
Yeah,
Uh,
like oh, okay, I am connection.
yeah,
I am
yeah,
connected with him. I send him a message on Twitter.
yeah.
Okay, but it's
Yeah,
not a
no,
connection.
that's not the same, but that's why in my book, I know this makes me sound old and old-fashioned, which may be true, but why email is still such an important channel to have, because there you can say, I mean, listen, I text, I use WhatsApp, I do all the things, but if you want to explain to someone, in my case, I'm often introducing people to people and they need to know the reason why. Why should I take the time to meet this person? It's not just because I'm asking, they need some context. And so in email, I can say, they have a startup idea that's like this. They want to talk to someone who has your kind of expertise. This is how I know them. We also share a friend with you, and so and so. Like, you have to explain that. That's not a text, or that's not a like, or a something in a public message, on Instagram or something. So that sort of thing is what makes for the deeper connection and conversation. And again, it can be then a video call or even a phone call. At some point, I hope people that are feel connected also meet in person. But yeah, don't confuse it with the sort of, I saw you had a birthday yesterday. That's fine in its place, and people appreciate that. But it's not the same thing. That's not what networking is.
Yeah, I think it's important because Rodrigo and I, as leaders in design, we face a lot of people complaining about, okay, I have difficult to find another job, a new job. And usually we said to this we says to these people like, oh, you need to connect with people, you need to present
Yeah,
yourself for the person who published the role, the opportunity. And I think the most part of the not just youngers, I think it's not true, but the most part of people uh, think, okay, I have 1,000 of connections in my LinkedIn, and it's my
And send just
networking.
a direct message,
Yeah,
and that's
and it's
it.
not just not a real thing. Of course,
Uh,
maybe we are facing a lot of layers of networking.
yeah,
Okay, there is the first layer when we send the message in WhatsApp.
yeah,
There is the second layer when we have a video
right.
call. Yeah, but I think it's difficult for people to understand. You need to create this ongoing
long term.
layers,
Going,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
It's when it's the one time thing that then it's like then people might feel a little used, where
mm,
it's just, or we've all had this experience. Uh-oh, here comes so and so, you know, I wonder what they want this time, because they're always the one asking, right? That's what they do. That they just come and ask, as
yeah,
opposed to give,
yeah,
right? That's why I talk about giving and getting, because
yeah,
we all are going to need advice and an introduction and some guidance or something, from somebody we don't know very well in life. We're going to, and so that's okay. But in addition, then you want to be able to say, well, what can I do for you? And I have to say, recently, it just so happens I was just introduced to two different people, both of whom uh, lost a corporate job, both of whom are thinking they want to go out on their own. And they were both, referred by friends, people I thought a lot of. And so, anyway, we talked about different things I've heard from other people, and how they might think about themselves, and basically asked questions for them to sort of shape their whatever their idea would be. And in both cases, they said to me, "Now, what can I do for you?" And I really appreciate it. I mean, the answer was nothing at the moment, but believe me, I might be asking you sometime. But it doesn't have to be right in the moment. It doesn't have to be an even trade right then. But just the understanding that we do give sometimes and we get sometimes, and it's ongoing, and that's okay. And that makes it less like, oh, I'm so needy and I don't have anything to give, but I really, really need help, because we're all going to need that help some sort. And so, let's just, help where we can, and like pay it forward a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. This is the real network, right?
That is
This
the
is
real
the
net. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. We have humans connect with humans.
Yeah.
Just that, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Rafael,
yeah,
do you have more?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
No,
Rafael
not.
has a lot of questions, Karen. So I'm sorry for that.
No, no, no worries.
Yeah. um, I, I I am thinking about the how difficult is to decide or to define what kind of people we need to create this connection. Because of course, when we work, we have a lot of people around us in our company or jobs, and
Mhm.
but we will decide what people is most interesting to create this connection, to start this relationship. Do you have some tips to define that? Okay, this person is interesting because she or he has this capability, this thing, or it can be a little um, uh, selfish, thinking
Or
this
this is
way.
the way,
Yeah.
or maybe the way it is something more natural. What do you think?
So this is such a good question, because people, I find that people will say, especially when they're looking for a job or freelance work, they're a consultant, they'll say, well, why would I talk to that person that you're suggesting? Because I'm not seeing any obvious connection to what I do. And I've been limiting myself to this. That's often a mistake because to say someone is more important or has more connections or has more a bigger title or something like that, and that's the ones to go for. You can't determine who's actually going to be helpful by any of that. And so it is good to pay attention to who's more interesting, who do I have more spark with, where we, easily converse. That's you pay attention to that. Similarly, the people you work with, they're not all going to be your network in the future. The ones that you liked working with, you thought were interesting, it's easy to stay in touch with, or easy to start up after a long time of not talking to. That's the people in the network. It's not. I often tell people your network is not everyone you've ever met or everyone you've ever worked with.
Yeah.
Only some of those people, and you pay attention to who you like. But the other thing I'd say about that is also don't be so prescriptive in
Mm.
saying, I'm a lawyer. I only want to talk to people who are lawyers, or something like that. I once had a friend who was a lawyer actually at a company. He was unhappy in his job. And he said, well, you know, a lot of people, introduce me to some people. Like I want to get a general counsel job at another company. Like, help me find somebody who can give me that job, basically. And I said, well, based on your experience, here's someone I would want to introduce you to, also a legal background, but he's at a venture capital firm and he's got a broad experience with other lawyers at the firms, but I think you'd be interested in his story. And he just was like, no, that's off point for me. Right. I have to stick to this narrow thing where I'm often saying, here's someone who may broaden your, first of all, there's no one person that's going to give you the magic answer that leads to the job offer. That it's not that easy ever. It's more like a scavenger hunt. So I'm telling you, talk to this person. You may get more ideas. He may know about companies I don't know about. He may know about other people you should talk to who are closer to that. I don't know what he knows, but he knows more than I do. And he's an interesting person. I'm telling you to talk to him. And so and he didn't want to do it. He just thought, no, this is my. And I've always been much more like I'll talk to anybody once and see where it goes. Recently I had a friend, actually, she's a independent consultant, long time in communications, writing and editing. And I told her I'd just been on a podcast uh that the audience was accountants. And their invitation to me was accountants are introverts. And so I talked to a group of accountants. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean, it was for their podcast. So I mentioned that to her, and she said, "Oh, I can't think that would apply to me at all." And I said, "Well, the host told me they're looking for interesting guests. You have an interesting service that you do. Why wouldn't you? What it costs, the time to do it. Like, why wouldn't you?" And she did then, and she liked it and thanked me. And I just feel like you just don't know where these things might lead sometimes. So it's better to be, but neither does it have to be, oh, the most important person, I must be networked to them. Maybe they're a jerk. It right. No, we sometimes say in companies we have the no asshole rule. No assholes.
I love this is the main tip of your video cast right now.
Right. Right. Right.
Well, Karen, the conversation with you was great. Thanks so much. And the
Oh,
class and
you.
lessons were great. Thank you.
Oh, and it goes, but the time goes by so fast.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And I hope you accepted our invitation to come back one day, please.
Yeah, please,
Hey, I'll be
please.
happy to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you are planning to go to Brazil,
Yes.
please,
Yes.
Connect
please,
with
I
us. Yeah.
yeah.
think I know some people there. I think I know some.
Ah,
Yeah.
great,
Perfect. Perfect.
great.
And before finishing, please tell us any information about contacts, presentation courses, classes, or whatever you want to
Yeah,
make available to our audience. Please
yeah.
feel free to
A
bring.
book in your backlog, a new book.
Yeah, new book
Oh, yeah.
coming.
I don't have another book on that topic, but I do feel like I've uh
Because it's difficult. And we
well,
know.
it's difficult to do a second book, but I just thought I don't want to have the same topic, even though I have to say 5, 6 years later, it's still people want to talk about it. It's a what we call an evergreen topic, right? It's something that the need doesn't change for sure. Um, but I do so on my site. That's just my name, KarenWickre.com. There's some I posted like all the things I read to write the book. So it's like a kind of a bibliography, and there may be some interesting materials in there. Um, there's some excerpts and interviews with me that were when the book came out. They're not too current, um, and there's more about me on there too. So that's maybe the best place to start.
Oh, perfect, perfect. I will put your link here in your description of this video so our audience could access and know more about you. And I'm speechless. Thank you so much for this time.
Yeah,
Well, thank
yeah,
you.
and
Yeah,
and probably I could talk more time with you about this.
Yeah, yeah, I cut him.
it's like I said, evergreen. Yeah.
Well, the cats, the
All
cat,
this, yeah.
all the
You have
time.
probably 7 cats, seven.
No, not probably. I have 7 cats
Yeah, you have
and
seven
one dog.
cats. Yeah, that's 7 cats, 9 lives, because in English it's 9 lives, not seven. If you don't know, the,
Yeah, yeah,
in Portuguese, in Brazil,
it's
cats
seven
have,
cats.
yeah, cats has 7 lives, and in the United States they have 9 lives. And
Yeah,
but
cultural difference between
yeah, I
Brazil
don't know.
and
I don't know
around the
why
world.
the cats in North America are more lucky. I don't
Yeah,
know.
maybe because they have money.
I don't
They
know.
buy two lives.
Yeah, the black cats are they suffering any culture, I suppose. So it's not
No,
just in
no,
Brazil.
no, 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 not at all. In the I think what is the Irlanda? I forgot how to say Irlanda. Irish.
Irish.
In Irish,
Oh, Ireland, Ireland. Irish is the
Ireland,
people. Yeah,
Ireland. Yeah,
yeah.
in Ireland, the cats, black cats, are very respectful.
Oh, but
Yeah,
they bring lucky.
they bring luck. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. It's the opposite from us.
They believe is opposite.
Yeah, yeah.
Ah,
So
great,
yeah,
great.
very good point to bring your life right
Yeah,
now.
it's
Yeah,
just chatting.
cultural
Yeah, we are just
cultural
chatting.
things. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But let's talk about your conversation
yeah, it
with
was good.
Karen.
Yeah, it
What do you
was
think?
good.
Bring your thoughts right now.
Oh,
Come on.
it was delightful, I
Oh,
suppose. So
delightful. Oh,
yeah, it's a very
beautiful word.
beautiful word. Yeah, word.
Oh,
Because I think we could talk about more not ordinary. Can I can say ordinary thing because it's an ordinary subject, but very powerful subject because I think the most part of people has a kind of prejudice about the networking.
and misunderstood, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But as usually say, um, networking is part of our life all the time, always, always. always be? No,
I don't know what you mean.
no. Let- Cut that.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. But network is part of our life. It's important to look for that, not look to that, not to as a painful thing, but important and maybe a pleasant thing in our
Yeah,
life.
and I like what you told her about the layers of network.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
like this
yeah.
point because there is different kind of network, right?
Yeah,
There is
it's
a social, there is a job network, right? There is a helpful network. There
no,
is a
and even the job, the work network has a little layers because you can have it's about deepness. It's about the how deep we can go in this networking. We can just talk with people by text, but we can talk with by text and by videos too, and by phone, by audio in this case, or
yeah,
other
yeah.
ways, or in personal. And it's interesting to
Yeah,
look
I see.
to this
Yeah,
way.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, there different approaches with different layers, with different connections,
Yeah, no one is
different
better than the
interesting.
other. It's just a
Yeah,
part of the
yeah.
the
But it's
process.
very important. I think that the main lesson that we put here, we we give us and we capture for us, it is how important it is to
Yeah,
make net a good network, right?
yeah. But in a true way.
Yeah.
Okay, we it's important to create a real connection.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
not looking for the most important people, as we said in the
Yeah,
interview. It's
yeah.
very
Not for a high
to
level
take
interest.
advantage, just to take advantage. It's not this.
Yeah,
It's
good
not the
point.
goal. It's not
Good
the goal.
point.
Yeah,
Yeah, good point. So amazing. That's it.
amazing.
That's it.
Yeah,
So for you, please
more. Yeah,
subscribe to our channel. It's very important. Like
yeah.
this video, share, and bring.
Share your
Yeah,
with your friend, not just the designer, because this subject is for everyone. Please.
please. And comment. Send your thoughts
Yeah,
because we
yeah,
will be very important to know what you think about this kind of subject.
yeah, yeah. What are his thoughts? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So thank
Okay.
you,
Bye
and
bye,
I
people.
I see you in the next episode. Bye bye.